We've got a 4th of July terror warning from the FBI and Homeland Security. Cisco security appliances are vulnerable. Private MAC addresses are coming. And yep, China hacked the OPM. But is that really the problem? All that coming up now on ThreatWire. I'm Patrick Norton, and this is ThreatWire for Monday, June 29th, 2015. Your summary of the threats to our security, privacy, and internet freedom. Got Ethernet, a wireless adapter? Then you have your very own unique MAC address. It's used to send frames to the right machine on the internet, and it can be used to track your activities online. And while Linux, Windows, Apple OS, and Android all can randomize MAC addresses, there's no specific IEEE spec yet. MAC address randomization test took place back in November, and Richard Sherwin writes on the Register and, quote, well, I'm going to quote him, "Now the IETF and IEEE have agreed that the experiment was a success, along with further trials at the IEEE's 802 plenary and a second IETF meeting, both in March." What's that mean? I suspect big changes are coming to networking protocols soon, and it's going to be a lot harder for big government to track what you're doing online. Heads up, people, if you run one of Cisco's web security virtual appliances, their email security virtual appliances, or their content security management virtual appliances, you might have major issues. Cisco says these boxes, in the words of Dennis Fisher on ThreatPost.com, quote, contain default authorized SSH keys that can allow an attacker to connect to an appliance and take almost any action they choose. We're talking about root user privileges on your security appliances. This is bad. And by the way, apparently this is an industry problem, badly common exploitable SSH keys. In this case, apparently Cisco put them in to allow, well, I called up for help and they just logged into my machine. It was so convenient of Cisco. Well, look, common exploitable SSH keys suggest, at least one security researcher quoted in the article, are an industry-wide problem, as in showing up in Metasploit modules. That's bad, people. Great link in the show notes. Do yourself a favor, go read it. China hacked the OPM. It's not exactly a new idea, but having U.S. Intelligence Chief James Clapper say that China is a leading suspect in the theft of millions of personnel records from the Office of Personnel Management gives it some kind of official cachet. The question, of course, is whether the White House will use its new sanctioning powers, the ones that gave the Treasury Department to go against hackers. Well, Beijing continues to claim China has been falsely accused, and Damian Pauletta's article in the Wall Street Journal notes that both Defense Secretary Ash Carter and National Security Agency Director Admiral Michael Rogers both believe that the U.S. needs, quote, a clear protocol for how it responds to cyber attacks, in part to warn hackers about the consequences of their actions. Meanwhile, security on the OPM networks is probably still a hot mess, and frankly, I think that's the real problem. It's way too easy to break into far too many networks, especially those run by our government. Let's get this fixed, people. And from the sea, we told you we needed all your phone calls department. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI have, says USA Today, quote, warned local law enforcement officials across the country about a heightened concern involving possible terror attacks targeting the July 4th holiday, end quote. And look, lest I sound less than paranoid enough for a security junkie, the source quoted by USA Today went on to say that, quote, there was no specific or creditable threat or attack beyond, quote, the ongoing threats posed by the Islamic State and other homegrown extremists, end quote. Look, I'm hoping the average person that saw that title and started stockpiling foods and getting ready to go to the sticks for the July 4th holiday got to the third or fourth paragraph that admits that these, quote, bulletins are frequently issued in advance of major U.S. holidays out of an abundance of caution and concern that operatives may exploit the timing to generate greater attention, end quote. What's that mean? It's a big holiday. It's lots of people getting their party on, celebrating freedom, and the bad guys overseas may choose to rain hell down upon the USA because, hey, it's going to stand out on July 4th more than it would on your average Tuesday. Look, go live your life well, people. Enjoy your freedoms. That's really going to tick people off. Before I go and get ready to celebrate my very own scruffy July 4th, I want to give a huge thanks to everyone who has supported the show so far on Patreon. That's patreon.com/threatwire. That's a place where you can kick us some change if you're feeling generous, and you'll find out why these adorable pups are being featured, and maybe get your own furry pal up here. We're going to continue our 3 times a week rotation of Derek Kitchen, Shannon Morris, and myself as we try to ramp up production to a place where we can afford to produce this show. So thank you for your support, and I hope you'll contribute to help us keeping this coming completely independent and ad-free. If you can't donate, a like, a share, or a subscribe goes a long way too. You can find all our episodes, links to our social networks, and other ways to contribute over at threatwire.net. With that, I'm Patrick Norton, and I'll see you on the internet.